good evening, or good afternoon, depending on where you are. We got another 100% race, this time between Behemoth and MGA.
My name is Professor School. I'm here with my co-commentator. You just heard their voice, Christofalo. How's it going today?
It is going really well. Sorry, I was just gatekeeping, so it looks like they're off in there, but it'll take a couple minutes for the restream to catch up. What's going on? How are you doing?
Doing really well. I am super excited about this, our first semifinals matchup here in our 100% item collection Super Metroid tournament. We've got a really great week of races coming up leading through the semis and finals. And this one kicking us off, two incredible runners, Behemoth87 and MrGuyAverage. This is going to be really, really good stuff. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too. I'm sure everyone is familiar with Behemoth, as some people like to say. He's a household name of the Super Metroid speedrunning community. Has held world records on and off. Currently has the 100% world record. And to be honest, I wasn't too familiar with MGA until this tournament. But I've seen their progress in the tournament. They are very, very skilled.
Yeah, so I'll say for everyone listening in now, if you're not familiar with MrGuyAverage, you should be. For both of our runners, obviously, go ahead and drop them a follow. They're about to give us what should be an incredible race. As Christofalo mentioned, yeah, Behemoth is a person who goes all the way back to when we timed Super Metroid with the in-game timer before moving to real time, as you'll see here in this race. But MrGuyAverage, I think, really broke onto the scene in a big way earlier this year with an incredible performance in our multi-category tournament, and is also a very accomplished runner who has, I think, in the top 10 at this point in pretty much every major category, or at least pretty close to that in terms of the routes that they run, or maybe top 20. But still, I mean, a very, very strong runner who I think is going to be giving us quite a show.
Yeah, looking at their PB, it's they're 16th place for 100% with a 1:18.14. Of course, that's about 4.5 minutes away from Behemoth's world record of 1:13.35. So there's a bit of a disparity there. But that being said, I think this will still be a close race. I think if your PB if it's 4 minutes apart, I mean, sure, Behemoth has experience, a lot more experience from the sounds of it. But this isn't going to be a freebie for him by any means.
No, certainly not. And one of the things that can be a little bit misleading if you look at MGA's times, for example, is that they're only 43rd overall, but he does not run a new route in any percent. He's actually running old route and just got a 44, which for those of you that follow old route is a sick time. I mean, you're talking like potentially competing for a world record before new route was discovered. And as we saw in the match against Kip, which to me was probably the best matchup in the tournament so far, as far as pure 1-to-1, the thing that Kip talked about is the steep increase in skill for MGA right now, with his time coming down from, I think, a 120 or 121 just a month or so ago. Now, already knocking on the door of a 117. So I wouldn't be surprised by any time that I see MrGuyAverage post today.
Yeah, that's a heck of a grind for bringing your time down that much. I was watching their stream a little bit beforehand, and I saw that they are going for I would say the old route, which is the early Crocmire route. Mm-hmm. Just because I saw some very creative grapple strategies. Normally, I really hate the grapple beam, but I think MrGuyAverage is going to show us some really, really exciting stuff in this race. So I'm very excited for this.
Yeah, the grapple strats are pretty incredible. There's a few runners, Sephi is one, MGA is another, that like to show off those Indiana Jones strats, some of those the Mama Turtle E-Tank grapple strats. And so we'll definitely have a route divergence today, and we'll get both of our runners showing us really the full array of what this category has to offer.
Yeah, for those not super familiar with this, Behemoth will be running the late Crocmire route, so picking up grapple beam well past its point of usefulness after they've killed Ridley. So we're not going to see any grapple strats there, but we'll see him do some creative stuff with the ice beam as well.
Yeah, for sure. And as you're pointing out in chat, that Zeus has actually lost races compared to Behemoth, which someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but there was recently discussion on the Discord that Behemoth has never lost an SRL race, at least not in 100%. Of course, Behemoth, a runner that's focuses mainly on any percent and 100% here in Super Metroid, but I certainly wouldn't be surprised if that was correct, because Behemoth is just one of those runners that has always been sort of at the top of both of these categories.
Yeah, that's what I've heard as well. So if this is Behemoth's first loss in an SRL race, that would be something to see.
Well, here you see the runners projecting themselves through these rooms. I think I may have just cut you off there, Christophos. Sorry, but I assume you were going to say the same thing I did, which was the differences in these climbs here, and of course Behe doing the climb that we name after him, the Behe climb.
Yeah, and just noticing right now, Behemoth taking a tiny bit of damage there from the particle from the Scree, I think they're called. So he correctly farmed a tiny bit of health there, because if he did not have the extra health, if he did not have full health, he wouldn't have got all missile drops from the Bomb Chorizo fight, which would have really slowed him down. So that's a bit unfortunate for him. It's going to give MrGuyAverage a couple seconds on him. This is something I say for these kinds of races. It's always about the very minor time saves when you're at this kind of skill level.
Yeah, of course, over the course of 350 rooms or so, those frames, even if it's 5 to 10 frames in each room, purely to do with motion and not even strats, they add up really quickly over the course of an 80-minute run or so, right?
Yeah, definitely. And the other thing that I always like to point out with these races is it's your minor time saves that you got to worry about, and it's also the backup strategies. The thing you're not going to get your desired strategy every single time, but you will notice that MGA and Behemoth have practiced backups for pretty much every single room. So even if they mess up a strategy, they can recover very, very quickly, and that's how you get a time of like 1:13. So.
Yeah, and Behemoth's still trying to push that further down. In his recent streams, I think his goal has been a 1:13.2x time, whereas he's currently the world record holder with a 1:13.35. So still even trying to push that down further. 10 seconds for someone like Christopholo or I in 100%, probably not that difficult to make up in our PBs. 10 seconds at the level of a 1:13.35 is pretty massive. So that's certainly very impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. But when it comes to races, the other thing they have to be very mindful of, or careful, something they have to keep in mind, is their consistency here. They want to go for the consistent strategies, typically, just because in a race setting, it's not a time to take risks. And, I mean, 100% isn't free. Sometimes there is danger. You don't want to lose a run due to something that could be risky.
Well, Christopholo, that actually raises a really interesting question with regards to strategy here. If you are MrGuyAverage and you see the disparity between your times, do you not pay attention to that at all, and you just try to focus on getting that PB in a 1:17? Do you try to go for the riskiest possible strats to give yourself the best chance to win? What do you do here against a runner of Behemoth's caliber?
So that's the thing. If you're Behemoth, you're playing this, I would say, completely differently. You're going to go for what you know, and you're going to go for the consistent strategies, because you know if you run a good time, like say a 1:15, 1:16, something that's very reasonable for Behemoth to do, you're probably going to beat MrGuyAverage because of his PB. There's a 5-minute difference there. But if you're MGA, I was actually watching his stream before this, so I do know the definitive answer for this. He said he's going for everything. He wants to go for the risky strategies because he feels like he has to.
Mm-hmm. I think that makes a lot of sense. You know, you're in a semifinal race. What's the worst that can happen? Most people probably don't expect you to take home the W. Why not go all out, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. And even if you lose, you still have the opportunity to show off some really nice strategies here.
100%, absolutely. Well, both of our owners executing very nicely so far. MGA and Behemoth both getting both of those mock balls coming in and out of early supers, having blazing fast movement. I think MGA was sitting on like a 440 or 442 bombs time, which is really fast. And both of them now already making their way into the direction of Kraid's lair.
Yeah, for me, those bomb times are unbelievable because I mean, I was playing before they figured out Moonfall. So I used to think of like a 445, 446 bombs time. That's incredible, but they've really been bringing every single part of this run down over the past few years. Like I was saying, there's just so many minor time saves in every single room. They do add up. So Behemoth grabbing his Spazer Beam right now. You saw a nice little damage boost there. I think that one's pretty difficult, but for a runner of Behemoth's caliber, he can probably get it pretty consistently. MGA getting the same damage boost as well.
Now, of course, in this category, just like in early or in PRKD for any percent, Spazer is going to be playing a big role early on for these runners, making a lot of those strats a lot easier here. So let's see what these runners are going to be able to do going into Kraid's Lair. I expect both of them to be going for the Missile Kraid Quick Kill, picking up that Varia, and then making their way back out and over into their first trip to Norfair.
Yeah, honestly, I don't think the Spazer Beam is that crucial. Obviously, you should pick it up because it's 100%. But that being said, I think a lot of the strategies that the runners are going to go for, you can do without Spazer Beam. It just requires a few more inputs. So like you said, it does make the strategies a little bit easier, but I don't think it's necessarily makes it that much easier, to be totally honest. So personally, I got booted out of the tournament, immediately PB'd afterwards, by the way, so there's a bit of a, showing off.
Nice.
I started grinding any percent, and something I've really come to appreciate out of the 100% category is the ammo management. It's something that you just don't need to worry about as much. Obviously, you still need to worry about it. You see the runners very early on, it does matter quite a bit. But later on in the run, you just have so many missiles and super missiles, it just doesn't matter. But any percent, it's totally not the case. So just a nice thing about this category that I've come to appreciate.
I could not agree more. I participated in one of the community any percent races last weekend and had two huge brain farts, with one with super management and one with power bomb management, where I just expected at 2 points in Norfair, I will have plenty of ammo here, and then I just didn't. So I completely agree with that, with the exception of maybe some early and very late game super management going into Turian, for example. Yeah, missiles never going to be an issue. Power bombs almost never going to be an issue. And there's so many different places to farm that I don't really expect that to be coming up today.
Yeah, exactly. But early on, ammo management is a little bit important. Behemoth, I saw early on, I think he's trying to conserve his missiles a little bit. I'm not sure that you need that many, to be honest, but it's better than having zero. And we also saw Behemoth going into the, I don't know what you call that, the Kraid E-Tank. Going in there with 35 energy, that's pretty risky, so he had to grab that E-Tank really quickly, otherwise he actually would have died there.
Sova's being a little bit stingy. Some of the other drops being a little bit stingy so far here for Behemoth, not getting any of the pickups that he'd like. So we'll see how that super count goes. Christophel, you mentioned the ammo management early on, especially in the late croc category, where you're going to be a little bit more aggressive and you're going to go straight for wrecked ship before heading down to croc.
Yeah, another thing is, I like to bring this up, but I don't think this is actually that relevant for these runners, is health management. I mean, going into wreck ship right after cleaning up all this stuff in Upper Norfair, certainly you do have to keep an eye on your health, but I mean, these runners are both very experienced, very practiced in this category. I don't think the health is actually going to be that much of a concern, but it is something to keep in mind.
Certainly stranger things have happened in this tournament. It's been, commentators don't wish anything bad on any of these runners, but only pointing out that it has been a very volatile 100% tournament so far, and we've seen some absolutely wild things happen in a category that's not typically considered that dangerous. So we'll just have to wait and see, and hopefully our runners can avoid all of the major pitfalls of each of their respective routes.
Yeah, wasn't that your race against Keku where he died and then you died?
Yep, that was certainly one of them. Keku had a death in, I think, Spiky Room of Death. I bowed out of the tournament on a horrific chain damage to Dragon, and then of course we've seen some other ones. We've seen C Scotty W with some chain damage at Mother Brain, and a couple other instances that were, if not total deaths, at least majorly Monka-S in terms of having to execute.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope we won't see anything like that here, but I mean, these things do happen. A very minor thing that these runners are doing that I appreciate is doing one little farm there and then heading to the right. I didn't realize the point of why you do this until I think a recent race where one of the commentators explained this. It's because you have to adjust the door transition there, and if you jump, so you want to be jumping through it to save time. And if you're going to be doing that, it actually mitigates some of the time loss from setting it up if you get that farm and then do it, because you're going to be farming that anyways. Mm-hmm. So just another very minor thing here. Behemoth, very nice RNG with the supers there. That's very lucky for him.
Yeah, although I wonder whether or not Behemoth would normally go for that second farm. Certainly you can leave speed farm with only 3 supers and be just fine. But I think in a race setting, the 1 second that it costs you to do that extra farm is probably worth it. I'd be surprised if... I'd have to go and look at his runs. I'd be surprised if he mains 2 farms there, especially with the early speed farm.
Yeah, it just gives you the opportunity to do things like using supers on these missile doors instead of just regular missiles, which might not save a tremendous amount of time, but it is certainly easier, and it does mitigate some of that risk. Very minor thing, but it does, like I keep saying, it adds up.
It does. It does. But credit to MGA here, staying very close, not even a full room behind at this point, or just over 1 full room behind, collecting his wave beam. And then this is getting to the point here where we are going to see our route divergence. We'll see MrGuyAverage heading down towards Crocomire, and we'll have Behemoth making his way up over to Wrecked Ship to tackle that first.
Yeah, so it's going to be a little bit difficult to tell who is ahead and by how much, but I think the figure that I've heard thrown around is the late Croc route is 2 minutes ahead of the early Croc route, something like that.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure myself. I know that that figure sounds familiar to me, and then ends up being, if performed optimally, perhaps, somewhere in the range of 20 seconds faster once the routes resync. But certainly a lot can happen between those two when all of the different strats are happening. Grapple versus not, going direct ship early, some of the issues going into Gauntlet with health and ammo issues. So yeah, we won't really know until the runners are making their second exit from Norfair, probably not for another 50 minutes from now or so.
Yeah, so we got a ways to go. This is another reason that runners might choose to go with the late Crocmire route, is because Crocmire is just a terrible fight. I mean, it's RNG dependent, and if you make a mistake here, it can cost you. He'll start walking forward. It's very tilting to mess this fight up. And we see MrGuyAverage having not very good luck with the Crocmire swipes here. What was that? Like, he only got 1 not swipe? That's awful. That's just terrible.
Yeah, I didn't count, but it was somewhere between 6 and 8 swipes, I think, by the end of that fight. It was pretty awful.
Yeah, so if you go in late Croc, then you just shoot him with Plasma Beam and he's dead. We saw MrGuyAverage going for that wraparound shot over there. That one it's so easy to set up. I don't think he missed it. Behemoth with the intended ice strats here. I love this. This is another reason that the runners might opt to go for the late Crocmire route, is because those intended ice strats can be a lot more consistent than trying to jump up Red Tower. Oh, MrGuyAverage just bonking on the top of the door there. Missed the Shine Spark.
Oh yeah, that's unfortunate, especially here without Space Jump at this point, which you'll have in the late Croc route. So needing to make a little bit of an adjustment here in order to come back up for this Powerbomb pack.
Yeah, and I mean, you can also mitigate some of the time lost by grabbing a farm there as well on your way back up, but he didn't get any super missiles there, so it's just bad luck all around for MrGuyAverage here.
Yeah, that's unfortunate for sure.
We're going to see him grab the grapple beam, and then we're going to go for what I would say is one of the worst strategies in this entire game, the Indiana Jones. I just hate this strategy so much. I hate it. It's so stupid. It's so hard to pull off.
Based on your commentary here, Christofolo, on both Croc and Grapple, I've got to think. I don't know your runs too well, but it sounds like you're still running early Croc right now, and you've got a little bit of an axe to grind with the category.
Yeah, that's right. MGA, see, that's why the strategy sucks. Right there. It's because it's inconsistent. It's hard to do. The grapple beam is just a horrible beam, and that's like a 15-second time loss. So
yeah, needing to backtrack there and then drop that power bomb and set up the speed jump there to the top of this missile collection. Very unfortunate for sure, and actually the first time in the quals or in the races that I've seen MGA miss that strat, so certainly unfortunate in the context of this race.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly expect MGA to put up a good race, but I think maybe there's a little bit of nerves at play here, because I was watching him practice before, and I mean, this guy knows what he's doing. So unfortunate that he missed that right there. So Behemoth making his way over to Fantoon right now. So Fantoon, another big source of RNG. I don't like, people talk about Fantoon and how much time you can actually lose, but I think that really only matters a lot when you're going for the world record attempts. Worst case scenario, he costs you 20 seconds if he gives you 2 slow patterns versus 2 fast patterns. That is a lot, don't get me wrong, but I don't think that 20 seconds is going to be deciding the race.
No, certainly not, and of course, there's other choke points that I think are much more significant potential time losses compared to Fantoon. Of course, the big difference being that Fantoon is the one thing that neither one of the runners can control. But let's see what happens here with Behemoth. Not getting a fast pattern to start.
Mid is perfectly serviceable, but he's got to get these Dopplers.
Opting to let Fantoon go off-screen there, just a second or two slower, but certainly allows you to guarantee really getting more missiles in for that Doppler.
Two round, that was really nice. The second round of Dopplers there, very impressive. I didn't see, does MGA still have Spazer on? Oh, he does. Going for the more difficult ledge grab strat in the red tower.
Yeah, and he's actually mained that strat not only in 100%, although the beam combination is a little different in any percent. That's also the strat that he mains there. And that's another one of those that I have not seen him miss in a competitive environment yet.
Yeah, that's a hard one to get consistently. Typically, runners will just turn Spazer off right there because it makes you can get the hero shot much more consistently, but going for the ledge grab strategy. I do think it's faster, but certainly more difficult.
Nice clean movement there for MGA coming out of Alpha Power Bombs. Really nice stuff.
Yeah, that's a room that can go really poorly if you get Vile Plumed there.
Ooh, and look at that grapple farm on that second CAC. Really, really nice.
Yeah, so I talk a lot about how much I hate grapple beam, but pay attention to MGA's screen. There are some very creative uses of grapple beam, especially coming up on this wreck ship segment here. I'm really excited to see the things that he's been showing off in his stream. Behemoth entering the spiky room of death. He's got 2 extra E-tanks here, so he can just, doesn't even care. His health totally doesn't matter.
Yeah, and just like that, threw it with no problem. The bounce ball entry looked like it may have been a little low, but the momentum was good and carried him most of the way across the room there. Now setting up for what I believe will be just a single bomb jump here. We'll see what Behemoth decides to go for. Nope, going for the safer double bomb jump, which I totally agree with. It's hardly a time loss at all, and it is so much more consistent, the timing on that second bomb jump into Wreck Ship E-Tank. And from here on out, the run should get considerably easier in terms of health management.
Yeah, really not something you need to worry about after this point. And like you said, it's a better consistent strategy in that room, because if you fall, it's a huge time loss getting back up from the water there. And plus, he only had 70-some health there. I mentioned his health wasn't a concern, and it probably wouldn't have been even if he fell, but it's still not something you want to risk. Got a nice little high five from the runners. And MGA is going to be making his way into Fantoon. I believe he still has Spazer on, so imagine he's going for Dopplers here. Very nice attic from Behemoth. Health management, very crucial at this part. You're not at any risk of dying, it's just that you want enough health to skip the ship on your way back.
Yeah, that ship refill can cost, I think it's about 15 to 16 seconds, so certainly do not want to have to stop for that.
Just noticed MGA turning off Spazer, going for the X Factors. I approve of this strategy. I think the X Factors are, I think they're a little bit, they're certainly tricky, but if you nail them, you'll get a 2-round every time. Whereas I think Dopplers, you have to be a little bit quicker.
Yeah, and I actually expect him to use missiles in the second round here, which is the hybrid strat that most of the top runners use in old route as well. Yeah, and there you go. This is actually the fastest way to get through Fantoon in old route. So not surprised to see it here.
Unfortunately, getting 2 slow patterns, so that's that 20-second time loss. But Behemoth had a slow mid, I think, so it's only really 5 seconds of RNG between the two. Behemoth, he's going to be going for the robot flush strategy in the bowling alley. This one is, it's so impressive to see if they get it, knocking the robots into their respective holes before walking down there. Saves you a lot of time with the positioning, so you don't have to hit them when you're down there. And it looks so cool.
Yeah, definitely one of those more swag strats. It is pretty difficult to get consistent. It can also be pretty risky in terms of health. You know, we did mention that the category gets a little easier at this point in terms of health management, but you do want to make sure that you have enough left for that gauntlet spike, as Christofalo mentioned, and you can get really hecked up there in that bowling room in the spikes if you spend too much time trying to get that robot flush.
Yeah, without grapple, there's no way to avoid damage, and it's 30 damage every time you take damage from the spikes. So it's not. Like I said, I don't think it's been a big deal for Behemoth, but it is something to keep in mind. MGA going for the grapple strats that I was talking about, using the grapple beam to take damage from the spark, trying to go for a damage boost, but unfortunately missed it. But that's what I'm talking about. These grapple strategies are very creative, and they do save time, and they look very cool. Having a bit of trouble with the spiky room of death, but he's going to be grabbing that E-tank, and then I saw some other very exciting grapple strats on the way down this room as well, so stay tuned. Watch MGA's screen. I'm putting all the pressure on him, so hopefully he's not listening. We're all counting on you, MGA. That's it. That's a thing of beauty, what he just did.
Yeah, really nice damage boost there using the grapple beam.
That was a beautiful, beautiful room, followed by a beautiful spiked room of death there. A really nice damage boost as well. Very, very impressed with that strategy. Something that MGA was working on himself, so it's a new one. Ooh, unfortunately having a bit of trouble. Actually, I'm not sure. Was he going for the charge there, or? So it looks like his attic he's fine. What am I talking about?
Yeah, that's good. He's going for left side. It should be totally fine. Gets the blue keep and executes really, really nicely there.
up. Behemoth Cellus is looking a little bit low for this Gauntlet Spark, so he's probably going to have to dip into his reserves. Got an interesting setup for this wraparound shot here, just because I think his angle down button isn't binded on his controller. There's some reason for that. Going all the way back, I think that's just to set up for another very nice Shine Spark. Yep, so let's see if he gets this one. Of course he gets it! Behemoth, what a legend. Ooh, unfortunate.
He had only just started actually incorporating that into his runs. I think Behemoth said that he was only using that backside Gauntlet Spark when he was behind in runs, but I believe that he's maining it now. So not surprised to see him hitting it consistently.
Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't catch this. He did not break the floor, so he wasn't able to hold the Shine Spark all the way through. So that's very unfortunate. But still, charging a Shine Spark in that short of a distance, it's very difficult, especially through a door transition. I think MGA was setting up for a Shine Spark through the bowling room, but unfortunately, I crouched a little bit too early.
All right, well, while we wait here on our elevator and on bowling, just wanted to remind everyone to go ahead and give those runners a follow. And in addition, we've got some great upcoming matches. On Saturday at 11 p.m. Eastern, Shiny Zenny will be facing the legendary Hoder Ruby in one of our other semifinals matchups. We also have on the schedule for you coming up Zost and Sloters, which will be a great matchup, and one I'm really looking forward to is Oats and Goats versus a Real Cutie coming up to round out our semifinals matchups. You excited about those, Christofalo?
Yeah, I've actually watched every single tournament race so far. 100% is my favorite category, and we've just got such a wide variety of runners and so many different strategies. I'm really, really enjoying this tournament. I think the format of it made for some really good viewing, just because early on, I mean, there were some huge discrepancies in personal bests, but for the most part, there were a lot of very, very close races, even among runners who weren't at the very top. I think those are, for me, the best ones to watch. There's just I think there's more variety in the strategies that you see, and it seems like, I don't know, they're just more fun.
Do you have a favorite matchup so far? Have you seen all of them?
It's hard to be objective about that because, honestly, watching back the race, I had a race with Maniacal, and spoiler alert, I did not win, and then he got crushed by Behemoth afterwards. But we were within 9 seconds of each other, so check that one out.
Yeah, that was a really good one. I think the closest finish up through that point in the tournament, for sure.
I think it's still the closest one.
Yeah, I think the next closest one, the other match that I would mention for a contender would be MGA versus Kip, which maybe was just slightly further apart, some 10 or 12 seconds maybe was the final time. But yeah, always exciting to see anything in the escape sequence that could potentially separate the runners out. Oh, and unfortunate for MGA, taking a bit of a dip there in the moat. A couple seconds lost.
Yeah, I wanted to go for the mock ball, the lake ball on the way out. So that is a bit of time lost there, which is unfortunate. I think the unfortunate thing about that is that there's no quick backup for that if you miss it.
Yeah, you just have to come back around the bottom and bomb out that one block and then make your way back over to the landing site. Nothing to do.
Behemoth with the Spore Spawn missiles, super missiles, excuse me. This one's really tricky, I think, getting into the Spore Spawn missile room there, just because you have to scroll the screen in a certain way and then fire a super missile so that it hits the block when it's actually loaded. Really nice setup there, actually. I find that one very difficult to get consistently. It seems like it's pixel perfect.
Beautiful exit there from Spore Spawn supers for Behemoth, both getting that speed ball and then quickly exiting to pick up these charge missiles. he'll make his way down to the waterway, and then we'll see Behemoth enter Meridia.
Really short mock ball from Behemoth there. Short hop. That's very nice. MGA taking it real slow. Got to be careful for these gauntlet missiles. I mean, I can appreciate taking like even a couple seconds to set that up, because if you fall and miss one, yeah, that's like at least a minute lost. So Behemoth dropping that power bomb to open up the door so that he doesn't have to open it up on the way back. And MGA will be starting his Brinstar cleanup. I'm not sure. It feels like MGA is behind, but I'm not sure by how much. I want to say only about a minute here. Ooh, Behemoth just missing the blockbuster.
I do think both runners are still, despite some of the issues that we've seen, having very strong runs. Behemoth maybe being a little bit closer to his PB, but despite some of the larger issues that we've had, maybe with Indiana Jones and some of the other tricks for MGA, I think that still actually having a pretty good run right now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think we're about just under halfway, so we'll see what kind of times they get.
A little
Behemoth.
Unfortunate for you. Yeah, I think we just caught both of each other on that one, going for sparks and missing on both of them in Main Street there. That's very unusual to see.
Yeah, that's a really short charge. But, I mean, missing the setup, missing the positioning, rather, is unfortunate, let's say. Not something you want to see. MGA, he's probably going to be going for the Mission Impossible here. A really nice looking strategy, but again, I see this every time I see it. I don't actually think it's that hard to set up, because once you get the quick fall, you'll get the strategy every single time.
That's right. Just have to buffer a jump through that item fanfare and make your way back up. It's pretty straightforward once you get the setup. I think the real trick is really how long does it take you to get that one tile in the floor shot. And certainly no problem at all, MGA getting that, and really nice deboost exit from that room as well, which I think really consolidates that trick and makes it even faster.
Yeah, definitely. Another thing to keep in mind for that trick is your ammo management. Well, not ammo management. It's how you kill the side hoppers there and doing it quickly and just lining up the shot and making sure that doesn't actually cost you time. So Behemoth beginning his Meridia, heading up towards the, what do we call this one? Watering hole? Beach in the watering hole?
Mm-hmm.
MGA missing. This is what I'm talking about with this scrolling the super here. It's tough. It feels like it's pixel perfect. You're not going to get it every single time. And if there's a setup for it, it tends to be slower than any sort of fast strategy. Behemoth having a little bit of trouble in this room here. I honestly hate this room. I say this every time I see it. It feels like there's no fast way through it. I have seen fast strategies through it, but they are few and far between, and they are extraordinarily difficult to pull off.
Especially to get consistently, right? That little jump up air ball through that one tile space, for example, with all of those bugs flying around. Yeah, I'm with you on this one, Christophelo. Absolutely dislike that room.
There's a really nice mock ball you can get on the way out too, but it is so precise.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely.
Of course, Behemoth gets it, so.
Beautiful movement from Behemoth. coming through that crab shaft. Really, really nice. Not touching any of those walls and making a really swift work of that. Now on his way up to Batoon for one of these mini boss fights in the game. We'll see which Batoon strat to expect from Behemoth. Which do you use, Christofalo? Do you have a visual or audio cue? Do you go for the decalled strat setup here?
I go for the same strategy as Behemoth. It's timing or audio cue. Well, typically what I do is I just run to the right and then run to the left, and then from there you can shoot and then charge your X Factor, and then jump as soon as it's... it takes practice, but I think it's certainly easier than this decalled strategy that I've been seeing a lot of. The decalled one certainly looks very impressive, but I actually think it's harder than any other timing strategy. Behemoth with a very, very nice full halfie there. Everyone knows that trick. That's a tough one.
All right, and as Behemoth makes his way down into this Dragon fight, we'll see MGA breaking this glass tunnel and making his way into the start of his trip through Meridia.
Yeah, Behemoth here, he's going to be going for a classic Dragon kill here. Same thing that you would do in any percent, using a combination of X Factors and Shine Sparks, and then going for the blue suit, hopefully into the spike suit afterwards. I'm not sure what MGA does. I would assume the same thing, but it is possible to go for a grapple strategy here if you're feeling a little bit unsure of yourself in this fight.
Though, to be honest, what I've seen, I think you'll end up seeing X Factor strats as well from MGA, which is what you see normally in old route as well.
Behemoth getting the blue suit, no problem, so that's good. Going for the spike suit to follow it up, but I don't think it matters if he misses it too much, because he still has the blue suit to back it up.
That's right.
Really, really nice grapple strategy from MGA.
Yeah, that's what you were talking about earlier, Christofalo, or some of these incredible grapple strats. That's certainly one of those, not just swag strats, but it's the fastest way through this room when you have grapple equipped.
Yeah, I'm really coming around on Grapple Beam after watching MGA do some very impressive things with it. Behemoth doing a quick bit of menuing as he's going for that reverse halfie.
Yeah, so we saw Behemoth turn off that Varia suit in addition to turning back on the beam combo. Was there a specific reason there for turning off Varia, just for the benefit of some of our audience? I
think the reason that you turn it off is because you don't really need it, and if you have it off, you take more damage in Turian, especially to Mother Brain and to the Metroid. So if you miss the Metroid skip, you can get a quicker... it's not really a backup, it's the intended way of going through it. It'll drain your health a lot faster. And also, the Mother Brain energy beams will do a lot more damage to you, so you can go through that section just a tiny bit faster.
Yeah, I think it certainly makes the stand-up glitch a little bit safer, being able to damage down further for sure, or faster, I should say.
Yeah, you do take double damage with Varia off, so it is much safer.
All right, well, here's another one of these choke points that is unique to the late Croc route that we're about to see. Behemoth making his way to the furthest back point of Meridia, where the spring ball item is locked by Shack Tool. He'll be going for this standardized setup on the ice clip, and before I have a chance to even finish describing it, he is up in one there and onto Shack Tool. So absolutely no problem. It certainly can be a place where you lose multiple seconds having to either reset the room or try to refreeze those Puyos. But in the absence of having grapple at this point, Behemoth nicely executing that ice clip to be able to fly on past to the next section of this game.
Yeah, MGA going for his bot spoon. This is the decalled strategy that I've seen so much of in this tournament. Getting to one round, no problem.
Yep. One of those particles a little bit close to missing there. You have to really time how you jump and turn around there, where you land back on the left also, and center those particles on Samus. And if not done properly, the fight can go south in a hurry with those particles flying all over the room. So nice to see MGA execute that. Now he'll be going for his full halfie.
Yeah, no problem.
And a really beautiful Shack Tool exit for Behemoth that we just saw a few moments ago there. Not only in the that nice speedy space jump exit, but also those nice weave strats going back down through the exit to Shack Tool.
Yeah, I always find a good Meridia, just so impressive. There seems to be a lot of spots where it's very easy to get caught on the geometry of everything. So it seems like there's often very few fast ways to get through a room, and it seems like there's not a lot of backups either. So that Shack Tool room there from Behemoth, and then the follow-up right afterwards, it's a very minor thing, but I do find it really impressive.
Didn't look like the best setup there. A couple particles missed and maybe not connecting in just the right space for that Shine Spark. Now forcing MGA to, let's see if he's going to go for a ballistic kill. Yep. Yeah, it just looked like that setup was a little bit suboptimal. And so now he'll try to consolidate and get this. Oh, unfortunate on the bad frame there. So we won't see a blue suit or a spike suit from MGA. That'll be a little bit of time lost coming back through Coliseum.
Yeah, that's a bit of a shame.
The spike suit, of course, a double frame perfect trick where you can actually indefinitely store Shine Spark with some very precise inputs, which is what you saw there, MGA bouncing off those electric areas in Dragon's Lair. Normally would have tried to use that Shine Spark to really expedite the movement across this room. But of course, in 100% with Space Jump, you can still make very, very short work of this using the Wobble Jump. So some time lost for sure, but not as much as it would be in some other categories.
Yeah, absolutely. Behemoth going for a really nice damage boost here. This one is, I've tried that one myself. It seems like it's very tricky to set up. And then going for this strategy here, which is a little bit risky, I think. I've heard talk about this being risky, but I don't go for this myself. Going for the speed keep strategy into using Spring Ball. If you don't get enough speed, you can get caught between the blocks there, but Behemoth, very consistent at that strategy, so no risk there for him.
Yeah, really nicely executed Blue Bomber there for Behemoth. He'll now finish up his Meridia cleanup, going to the West Sand Pit here, while we see MGA in the East Sand Pit. He'll make his way over and get Spring Ball just in a moment.
Behemoth going for the little bomb jump there after picking up this reserve tank. Oh, and he got it.
Yeah, I love that one.
Yeah,
no reason not to go for it, but I'm 100% with you. It looks great. It definitely speeds things up there. So, and it's the setup is more or less free, so why not go for it?
Yeah, some really nice quick falls from MGA heading towards Shack Tool. And now he's gonna, well, just wait for Shack Tool to do his thing. Take a little bit of a break.
Looks like a successful lag reduction attempt there by MGA, going and intentionally damaging off of Shack Tool as that power bomb goes off to try to reduce lag. We'll see if he also goes for that aggro snail strat, trying to let the snail let Samus through this sand that Shack Tool's breaking up just a little bit faster.
Yeah, there's no reason not to go for that strategy. I can't imagine he'll skip it. There it is.
Yeah, nicely executed.
Behemoth picking up those Kraid missiles, something that, if you're just learning the category, this one's really easy to forget. But, I mean, Behemoth is not just learning the category, so... I would be shocked if we saw a 99% from any one of these races at this point, so...
Totally agree. Yeah, these runners have all of these items and their collection ingrained in the way that they run these routes. I mean, really, the only risk would be if someone decided to, let's say, change their route up at some point mid-tournament, where you might, fall into some sort of issues with muscle memory. But I completely agree. These runners are going to get all 100% of these items.
Yeah, this is a minor thing that Behemoth just did. Grabbing that missile pack on the left side of the room there. It's easy. Well, for me, anyways, I'm not very good at this game. It's easy to, as you're going into that room, accidentally fall through the crumble blocks as you enter, and then have to jump all the way back up, and that's a fairly significant time loss. But so Behemoth going for what I would describe as a riskier strategy. But again, Behemoth, world class runner, very consistent, knows what he's doing.
And nice movement through the backside of the Croc Speedway. Fixing the door transition in Croc Speedway can actually be kind of difficult, but managing to execute that with maximum speed in your space jump is really nice. And of course, now coming into the Lower Norfair entrance, getting that nice boost through the lava as Behemoth will head up towards his only trip through Lower Norfair here in this route.
Yeah, grabbing a real nice chronic boost, I believe, a classic.
Chat can actually correct me on this. I'm curious. I know that certainly the original setup there was discovered and popularized by Chronic. Then there was an updated version of that was made. I'm not sure if it was Sweetnum that found it. Do we still call that a Croc boost or the Chronic boost if it's if that's more optimal setup is made with the power bomb planted next to the door as opposed to when you're falling down?
I mean, I would still call it. Well, I don't know.
I only ask out of sheer curiosity. That's all.
You gotta pay your respects, I think, for the old strategies. So,
absolutely.
I'm calling it the chronic boost, no matter how it's set up. Anytime you get a boost off that, it's a chronic boost.
100%. Sounds good.
Behemoth, this is something that's always interesting in his runs. The Golden Chorizo fight, typically you would just stand here and aim up, crouch and then aim up, and then you can hit the Golden Chorizo twice with every shot. But Behemoth, again, doesn't have angled down bound on his controller, so he has to go for a little bit of a creative strategy here, jumping up and down. I think it's the only time that you'll ever see a Golden Chorizo fight being involved and somewhat difficult. I wouldn't say difficult, but certainly more involved than the strategy of just crouching and aiming up. Behemoth will, of course, be going for fast pillars here. This one is named because you go through the pillars fast. So, as with most speedrunning strategies, has a very creative name.
Yeah, tough one to argue with that, huh? You've got the pillars, they're going fast. Hey, we got a name for this room.
I like the descriptive names for these strategies. I know exactly what I'm getting into when I see that.
Well, you know what? Much better to have a room named after you because of a strat that you developed rather than because of maybe some infamous thing that happened to you in a race, which is certainly also the case for some of the rooms in this game.
That's true. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm very glad that many people before me have had serious chain damage issues with Dragon. I would not want anything to do with my name and the epic way in which I bowed out of this tournament to be forever enshrined in the name of some room. No, thank you.
Well, now that you said that, I think some people might be calling that chain damage the Professor School chain damage. I don't know.
Yeah, it's rather than me teaching Professor Style, it was Dragon that was handing down the lesson.
Yeah, a very surprising place to die, to be totally honest. Not something that you see ever, really. Chat pointing out it's called Getting Schooled, so now the name has...
Well,
back from this.
I kind of asked for it, so I guess I should just take my medicine here. No, certainly not Azure. I don't think that it should be applied to me. It's happened to many runners before, and I was fully aware of it when it took me out of the tournament. I just got a little bit greedy with time. But that's all right. Back to our runners here. Behemoth just about getting ready to enter this Ridley fight. Has a pretty healthy super count, so I would expect to see a little bit of increased DPS with some aid from the supers here. We'll see how many.
Ridley, not a particularly challenging fight in 100%. You're not really at risk of dying, but it's tricky to do quickly. I didn't see Behemoth go for any supers there.
Yeah, looks like maybe just a couple supers right at the end.
Looks like he didn't take damage. I could be wrong, but it looks like he didn't take any damage with that Ridley fight, so very impressive. Very quick either way.
Very impressive, but maybe not all that surprising, right? I mean, with Behe's success in any percent, where certainly you're on 2 tanks and you only really take damage from Ridley if you do it by design. Certainly within the realm of a top 1 or 2 any percent runner to do a damageless Ridley fight. Really beautiful stuff, though, for sure.
MrGuyAverage, unfortunately, having little trouble with this. I don't know what you call this, but keeping the speed from your speed booster through the space jump through this little Crockmire area here, and getting caught in the platform. So that's a little bit unfortunate. But he's able to get the through the refill, keep his speed through the refill. Excuse me.
Yeah, and that's the more important one, really, because if you slow down in that second post-refill room, that's where you really can lose a lot of time. Unlike in some of the other areas of the game, where you can run across spikes and gain speed, because you are running across those spikes in that acid pool, there's just no speeding it up, and so you just have to go through that room slowly if you mess that up.
Or the worst is if you accidentally hit the refill station and refill your health. That feels terrible.
It sure does, yes.
That's a reset point for me. You know what? Even if I'm on PD pace, it's done. I can't post this if I get that refill. MrGuyAverage just missing the blue fireball, so a little bit unfortunate there, but still able to get through this room really quickly. Behemoth not going for the Hoda Ruby special. This is a perfectly serviceable strategy, just going for the screw attack here.
Yeah, and I think that takes us back to some of the stuff that we discussed very early about what to expect from these runners, with MGA probably by design going for a lot of risky stuff, and Behemoth, not just in the context of this race, but I think in general, is pretty well known for developing an insanely high level of consistency in his gameplay style. Going for stuff that maybe is not always the absolute most optimal in a room, but just doing it so incredibly well that he's able to rack up these monstrously good times.
Yeah, wow. Sorry, as you're saying that, making his way through that this acid room here, beautiful block ball. That was it's so precisely timed. It's just so impressive.
Yeah, all of the movement in this escape has just been insanely good from Behemoth.
We saw MGA, I just want to point this out, in the GT room, instead of going for the spring ball strategy with the missile there, just jumping across. So like you were saying, taking big risks here, because if you fail that, I mean, you'll have to go all the way around and pick up the missile again, but he got it, so no problems there.
Nicely connecting on that super on the way down. Opening that green gate and going for the fastest version of this pillars here. Really nicely done. Entering just another room in the game here with this screw attack.
Grabbing the mouse missiles and a nice mock ball into that as well. Using this screw attack to break those blocks, and then between the there's just one block there that you have time to mock ball, so that one is also pretty tough. A nice bubble mountain strategy from Behemoth there.
I love that. The D-boost with the shot down and the quick drops, freezing that Ripper and then getting the D-boost into the missile pack. We'll see if he can consolidate on the back end of this with another D-boost off this waiver. Yeah, no problem. I struggle with that one. Having screw attack on there can make that really difficult, but really, really nicely done there by Behe.
Yep, definitely. I really like this strategy from Behemoth as well, dropping the, I don't know what they're called, cement gamers, using a super missile and grabbing a D-boost on it into the next room. That one it's so impressive to me. And now Behemoth going for Crocmire. This is why you take this route, because you just shoot Crocmire once and it's over. 2 very nice Kagos from MGA.
About as clean as you can get them, too. Just flying into that Metal Pirates room through Wasteland like it was nothing.
Yeah, and grouping the Metal Pirates there as well.
A little door bonk there, which is unfortunate because you would like to get that screw attack going across this room. But a really nice backup with Clower House. We've talked about this before. Both of these runners have the ability to miss a primary strat and immediately come up with not just a backup, but a fast backup. Ooh, and as I'm saying that, Behemoth executing one of the more important parts of doing this late Croc run, which is getting that spike suit here on the backside of the Croc fight.
First try, no less. Wow.
So the question is that really the easy part, right? Now is the difficult part actually carrying that spike suit through all the way to X-Ray?
Yeah, he's got a ways to go with it.
A little bit of a Trolley Ridley on the left side of your screen here for MGA. But it's still overall a very nice, clean lower Norfair, with the exception of a couple hiccups here or there. MGA seems to have really hit his stride after maybe a little bit of, whether it was nerves or just a bit of unfortunate execution errors. I think now really putting on a show for us. Behemoth, of course, also running a very, very good pace at the same time, making his way into finally picking up this grapple beam, and as we'll see the routes converge shortly.
Yeah, I think Behemoth definitely has a fairly significant lead at this point.
I think it'd be fair to estimate the lead at somewhere north of 2 minutes, maybe 2.5. It would depend on how good of a run MGA is having right now. Wow, beautiful stuff on both sides of the screen there. The Wasteland strats from MGA, and then Behemoth going for that really, really beautiful spring ball jump to those Croc missiles. Did I miss Behemoth blowing his spike suit somewhere? Because he just decided to spark up Croc's shaft there.
Yeah, it looks like he dropped it at some point. Either way, he's not going to be carrying it all the way up to X-Ray now. So that's a bit unfortunate, but it's not a tremendous time loss.
Yeah, it's in the neighborhood of about 6 seconds or so. I don't have the exact figure in front of me, but it's somewhere around there. And as chat pointing out, yeah, there are certainly worse spots to lose it. The worst perhaps being an accidental horizontal use of your stored Shine Spark in the Croc room.
Behemoth with a very nice strategy going through this spacer room here. Keeping his speed using Spring Ball. This is one of the reasons that I really like 100% is because you just get to use Spring Ball so much. There's some really nice time saves and ways to keep your speed going through certain rooms. You know, I can really appreciate this Three Musketeers room. After trying to run any percent for a little bit, having screw attack and 13 E tanks, it really trivializes that room.
Yeah, your only concern, of course, getting through in and out as fast as possible, not having to worry about losing your run that deep in because of an issue with those key hunters.
Yeah, we saw a nice damage boost in Bubble Mountain from MGA as well. That one's pretty. I think it's a little bit difficult to do just because you have to break spin. Screw attack can certainly make getting damage boosts a little bit tricky.
All right, well, Behemoth is going to be going for these final item collections here in the Blue Brinstar cleanup. Really nicely executed. Short hop blue ball going into these power bombs, making his way up into the Billy Mays room, as MrGuyAverage will be going back over to pick up X-Ray here, of course, having already dealt with Croc earlier in the run.
This is a really minor thing, but that positioning on the power bomb from Behemoth, I find this one really impressive too. Just because you want the blocks to break in such a way that you can just jump up the wall there and preserve your momentum as you're going up. So some really nice some really nice positioning there from Behemoth, and a nice little bounce ball entering the Billy Mays room as well.
Yeah, I can really appreciate the precise placement of that power bomb there, not just in Blue Brinstar, but we see it in a couple other places that are possible in this run. For example, the power bomb entering X-Ray is one of those places where you can really squeeze out every last tile in order to increase the time that you're going through. And as you mentioned before, Christofalo, every place you can save frames at this level, you'll see our runners doing it.
Really, really nice mock ball from Behemoth going through this construction zone here. And he's going to be attempting to be grabbing a short charge going up the Old Mother Brain room.
Yeah, and he actually set that up with a nice wraparound shot when coming down to collect those missiles and waiting for that power bomb to go off, opening that door and allowing him to seamlessly go through with that speedball.
Yeah, that's a heck of a wraparound shot, to be honest. The positioning, to me, just feels so tricky to set up. I've never got it in a run.
All right, well, taking a check on the time here as MGA approaches X-Ray, it looks like we are almost exactly a full 3 minutes apart. Let's see, on the touch. Yeah, exactly 3 minutes apart, touch of X-Ray between MGA and Behemoth. So yeah, actually a time that is less than what we would expect based on a sheer comparison of their two PBs. MGA definitely having, I would say, relative to himself, the better run of the two, but of course Behemoth's still up by 3 minutes.
What kind of time is MGA going to get, do you think?
Well, I think his PB is just a hair over 118 right now, maybe 10-15 seconds above. Let me check. It's at 118.14. I would not be surprised to see late game execution allowing him to secure a 117 here. Whereas by comparison, I'd say that Behemoth is probably on comfortable mid 114 pace.
MGA going for it. This is what I do when I go through this room. That's the power bomb setup. We saw Behemoth lay it on the floor, but MGA, you can just lay it up in the roof there. It's a little bit slower, but it is consistent every time.
Yeah, of course, a very good G4 time here. Behemoth waiting for these statues to clear the route down into the final section of the game in Turian. But yeah, that 107 entry time is certainly something. I do expect, barring any sort of disaster, that we'll be seeing mid to high 114 based on whether or not Behemoth gets that spring ball baby skip.
Yeah, that's something that we saw him go for in his race against Maniacal, where he was actually on world record pace, but then missed that Metroid skip. Very unfortunate. But that spring ball skip, it's a very, very impressive strategy.
All right, let's take a look at these Metroid rooms here from Behemoth. The super count is very healthy, so I expect to see no grouping strats here. Already a beautiful room 1.
I find this room, or these Metroid rooms, they're just so difficult. The other problem with one of the big problems with the Metroid rooms is you can't cycle through your items. You have to use an item deselect button, because otherwise you'll end up on X-ray, which for some reason is activated by the run button, which completely stops your momentum.
Just an absolutely beautiful set of 4 Metroid rooms there. I'm not sure you could optimize those any better than that. Really, really nicely done by Behemoth, and of course still having a fairly healthy super count for Mother Brain.
You know, I'd be careful with saying I don't know how you could optimize things any further, because people have done this before.
With current existing knowledge.
Yeah. Behemoth going for the safer Metroid skip strategy, so again, a perfectly serviceable strategy. You don't really want to take risks at this point in the run. You've pretty much got this, so doesn't want to be wasting time getting grabbed by the Metroid there. Really nice moonfall there. Yep, that's a moonfall. I always find these moonfalls through door transitions, to me, they're very impressive. I'm not sure how difficult they are, but to me, moonfall is still a new technique, so...
That particular one's not that bad. You have a fair amount of time to set it up while the Ghidorah despawns after hitting it with that super missile. But just a beautiful room here. A really nice down back Zeb skip from Behemoth on the first try, and then managing to get in here and... because of some issues with super missiles there, I'm not sure if one also got sniped, but needing to finish off Mother Brain 1 with some missiles, but managing to do it with only a few seconds time loss, and now preparing some of the damage down for that eventual stand-up glitch.
Yeah, it looks like he only had 5 supers going into the first part of the Mother Brain fight there, so he had to use missiles there. Here's another thing I really appreciate about this category is that there's really no risk of dying on Mother Brain, which is in contrast to the any percent category. Of course, Behemoth doesn't really take damage unless he wants to, so it's kind of a moot point.
I will say, as MGA prepares for his Turian, that last segment from about X-Ray to Turian looked really, really clean. I know we spent all of our time talking about Behemoth's really beautiful Turian, but didn't want to let the chance pass up to say that it looks like the movement was really clean coming through there, and I think with a good Turian here, MGA could probably still be on PB pace.
I think it's a bit of a stretch. He'd have to play perfectly for a PB at this point, I think. I am not too certain on the timing of Turian, but since his PB is, what, a 118? He's got 6 minutes. It's going to be tight, I would say.
Yeah, it should be. I mean, I've seen all of these top runners execute sub 7-minute Turians from G4 entry. He did enter a little bit above 111, so I agree it's going to be close. But so far already, these Metroid rooms are beautiful, including getting that all 3 of the fast kills in room 3 and the nice spring ball strat off that final platform. And 18 super missiles. This should be absolutely no problem now going into Mother Brain.
Yeah, those were some Metroid rooms. That was very impressive. So Behemoth getting a nice stand-up glitch from the looks of it. We'll see if MGA gets the baby skip. course he does. Very nicely done.
Yep, nice, safe 6 jump baby skip. No reason to push at this point. Nicely executed. And sure enough, looks like Behemoth will be on mid 114 pace here.
I remember when the world record was like 118. It's come a long way. It's like it felt like there was no time to save at that point, you know? And it still feels like that, but clearly this game, the limits of this game just keep getting pushed over and over.
Little unfortunate there for MGA, having to wait around to redo that down back skip, but eventually making it through and now preparing for his Mother Brain fight as Behemoth does the spark in his namesake and making up this final technically challenging room here in Parlor.
So Behemoth wrapping it up with a 1:14:35. Something I want to say about this run from Behemoth. We were chatting in the SRL channel beforehand, and he was saying that he was having issues with his power. So it's a good thing that his power didn't go out for this run. Got some nice RNG there.
All right, we see MGA now setting up for his stand-up glitch. Going to be trying to execute somewhere in the high 30s of these charged plasma shots to leave just 1 or 2 hyper beam shots after the baby is dead and off screen.
The thing with stand-up is that you want to make sure that the Metroid dies as soon as possible. You don't want to be missing any of those under-ring shots. That's something that people might not be too careful of sometimes with this glitch.
And thanks to chat for already pointing this out, but we will remind folks to go ahead and give these runners a follow. This is a really great performance by both of them. I mean, anytime you get a chance to see a 1:14 in a race is incredible. And MGA, you know, at or near PB pace right now. So really fantastic stuff from both of these runners.
This looks like it's on PB pace. 1:18:14 is his PB on speedrun.com?
That's correct.
So, I mean, this could be a really close PB. He's just got to keep it together for the escape here, and he's got it.
Yeah, a PB for sure. I would actually not be surprised to see a 1:17 here with a good escape. But very tight, as chat is pointing out.
I mean, he could accidentally save the animals.
I think that would upset a lot of people, and not just MGA.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice moonfall there. Certainly one of the more important parts of finishing off a clean escape here. Opting for a slightly safer spark there, going a little bit further across that climb room. Always a good idea. I think they're guaranteeing no real major issues.
Yeah, you don't want to jeopardize your PB at this point.
An absolutely beautiful parlor. Holy smokes. Boy, this is going to be really tight. Where's the steam going to be at for this?
1:18:02. SRL says 1:18:01. Just missing the 1:17. Nevertheless, still a personal best. Well done, MGA. And a 118 is a heck of a time, too. Dang. So now we're just got to wait for MGA's 100% to appear on screen. And then that'll be it. But yeah, it looks like Behemoth is the winner here, as he does have the 100% screen.
Well, I'd say one heck of a performance by both of our runners today. Maybe even a little bit tighter than we may have expected coming into this race, just based on qual times and PBs. But a pretty good race overall. Congratulations certainly to Behemoth, who I think might be joining us here on SRL Live just in a moment. And there he is. Hey, Behemoth, congratulations on the win. GG's, sir.
Thanks very much.
114 is a heck of a time in a race, so that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it was a bit of a weird run for me. I was missing a lot of weird stuff, but I think late game kind of pulled it back a bit. It was pretty good.
Yeah, I saw there was a bit of a mishap with the spike suit after Crocomire, and then also opting for the slower baby skip strategy there. So
yeah, missing that X-ray spark like that is bizarre. I was just like, what the hell? But then yeah, I've been going for that skip most of the time in these races now. I'll probably be doing that in the final.
I think it's a pretty safe choice, honestly.
Yeah, I'm not very good at it actually, the YOLO skip now anyway. So.
Well, still a 1:14:35. That'll put you on into our finals, the first of our 4 qualifiers for that final race. And at the same time, we welcome MrGuyAverage in here. Congratulations on your PB MGA. GG's.
Hey, thanks.
I know you were gunning for that 117. It looks like a frame count could be in order. I'm not really sure how close it was on your end. Obviously, a little delayed in SRL, probably.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure it was a 118.00 flat. So, kind of sucks, but I mean, I was like 30 seconds behind at one point in my PB, so there's still so much time to save.
Yeah, I mean it's still a PB, and it looks like that 117 is just right around the corner for you.
Yeah, I'll get it eventually for sure.
Behemoth, any other thoughts on the run today? How's your preparation been? I'm sure that your own personal expectation was you'd wanted to make the finals here. How's the preparation been for the tournament, and how have things been going in your opinion so far through the length of this 100% tournament?
I think the tournament's been fun. Preparation's just fine, I think. I had a few scares before this race. Like, I had a few power cuts, so I was worried that it would happen during this race, and I wasn't sure what was going to happen, but hopefully nothing like that happens in the final. That's all I can say.
Yeah, certainly not, and we're happy to see you get through without any sort of issues with power cuts, and let the match be decided purely based on what's happening on screen. How about you, MGA? What's the plan going forward? Are you going to keep grinding for that 117?
I mean, I would like to keep grinding for 117, but there's also an 80% tournament for SG Live, and I think that's in like 2 or 3 weeks, so I'd like to prepare for that instead. So I'll just have to be satisfied with a 118 for now.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I'd be satisfied with the 119, but I can certainly understand the frustration just being on the cusp of the 117 there.
Yeah, I mean, if I did like anything different in an hour and 20 minutes of runs, right? If I just did one room a second faster, you know, it would have been the 117. So I don't know.
All right. Well, we wish you both the best of luck in those upcoming tournaments, both here in this 100% tournament for you, Behemoth, as you go into the final. We're very much anticipating those next 3 semi-matches to see who your competitors will be. And to you, MGA, as you prepare to move on to some of the other tournaments here in Super Metroid in our community. So again, congrats to both of you on really nice runs today, and good luck in the future.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Thanks for the race.
Yes, good race.
And I guess that's gonna do it. We got another race coming up on Friday, 10 p.m. Eastern. Eastern? EDT? Is that what that is?
Yep, that's right. We have is that Oats and Goats versus A Real Cutie? Or is that not scheduled yet, or is that up already?
Is scheduled for Friday, 10 p.m. And then we also got...
That'll be a really good one.
Yeah, we're following that up on Saturday, 11 p.m. with Shiny Zenny versus the legendary Hotarubi, so make sure to catch both of those.
Yep, and one more still needing to go on the schedule, so keep your eyes peeled for that one. Speedrunning fans will be Sloters27 taking on Zost for that final coveted spot in the 4-way finals of our 48-player single elimination 100% tournament.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's been a pleasure. Good race, good runs, good commentary, I hope. Follow the runners. Anything else you want to say?
Nope, just wanted to thank everyone in chat for making it a lively and fun environment. As you said, Christofalo, thanks to our runners for providing us a great show. And thank you to my co-commentator for making this a really fun time for me. So we hope that everyone has a nice rest of their day. Tune in for those future runs, and we'll see you all next mission.